Cousin with the provisional squad of West Nile province. The squad, are you satisfied of the squad? That's what we are going to discuss. We also talk about the final 2022-man squad that has been revealed by the head coach of Uganda Cranes. Puti, how is it going to help Uganda Cranes in the friendly against Kuwaiti? The AFCON that continues, the African Giants, traditional African Giants, continues to drop points. Yesterday night, another one happened between Algeria and Angola. It ended in a draw, and in Europe, so many stories continues to happen. I did mention Jose Mourinho Mourinho being sacked by AS Roma, and at the same time, Weghorst extending his contract with the England football team. I'm talking about women national team. We also do discussion about that one, and as usual, we'll finalize the discussion with what is happening in the world of transfers. That one will now come in the second phase of the show. Let's kickstart our discussion with what is happening within the region in relation to what is happening also in the other stories that are happening within the country of Uganda. The week is all about preparation for FIFA Drum. You mentioned it as one of the highlights of what we are going to give to the viewers at this particular moment. West Nile Province, the provisional squad is already out. Are you satisfied of the squad as being a follower or as being a fan of West Nile Province? Before I ask Susie back, you look at the goalkeepers. We'll go department to department. We'll look at the goalkeeping department. We'll look at the defense line. We talk about the midfield department, and we'll finalize the discussion with the strikers that have been submitted by the technical team. So you look at the goalkeepers, we have got Alionzi Nafian, there is Angofindro Norman, not forgetting about Anyama Richard, who has just crossed over to UPDF, and lastly Omedwa Rogers. You look at the goalkeepers. If you are to be the head coach of West Nile Province, let me assume that you are the head coach called Samson Caesar Okuti. Out of these three goalkeepers, which one will you go with as your custodian?
Definitely, to me, Benson, I think I would leave my choices according to what Caesar has put into the numbers. Alionzi Nafian, of course, has no doubt he has actually been of the best, I should say, in Uganda. That is according to me. Recently, he saved even Uganda after saving in a penalty, a dangerous penalty, and he served so well with URA while he was still here before he actually crossed and became an international man. To me, I would basically leave it at that, as Alionzi Nafian to be my first choice, and then, of course, Angofindro Norman, who has almost now is reaching to 10 clean sheets. He's quite very good, and no doubt with Villa, we definitely see where Villa now sits, and this, of course, Villa's current position basically also sits down onto the goalkeeper. There is Angofindro Norman. He has become too good.
It's true.
Too good over time and all that. So, and then Anyama Richard, yes, he is good, and then Omedwa Rogers. I would basically leave out my selection as it stands.
Yeah, I'll still go by your decision. You look at all these custodians. Still, I will go for Alionzi Nafian, who doesn't know him. He had actually been a very good goalkeeper, leaving URA, going to Ethiopian Premier League. He's a starter at that side. He's performing very well. Still, I'll go him as the #1 custodian. You talk about Angofindro Norman, who doesn't know him. He's also performing very well. Maybe the headache will come between the two goalkeepers, Anyama Richard. Unlike 2021/2022 season, that was when we saw him performing very well. But of late, Anyama Richard to me has not been a very good goalkeeper. That's why of late you saw how Arua Hill Sports Club has been performing. What about Rogers Omedwa? He crossed over to, I think, Express, and people don't know whether he's playing or not. It's going to be something very heavy for technical team to come up with the season. Whether they are going to go or they are going to go with all the custodians, maybe pick 3, is actually what everyone is waiting to see. The first leg of this encounter will be this coming weekend on Sunday up against Lango. They will take a trip away to Akibwa. Let's take a look at the other department, the defenders. We have got Vone Bright, who is playing for UPDF. There is Baiga Patrick. You talk about Toha Rashid, who went to Police in Rwandan Premier League. You talk about players like Atendele Gerga, who previously had been playing for Arua Hill Sports Club, and the reports the deal is already 99%. He may end up at NEC FC. You talk about Okota Rashid, who doesn't know him. You mentioned defenders like Chiza Mustafa, or as Mustafa Tiza, there is Amayo Ahimud, you talk about Okumu, John Rogers, there is Cesar Olega, you talk about players like Oyirfu the Douglas, Nelson Mandela, and lastly we have got Mungufeni Jonathan Susie. You take a look at the defenders that have been submitted in that provisional squad. I think, to me, all these players, they have been submitted on merit based on their recent performances. Out of these, they are around 11 to 12 defenders, and out of these ones, they may only go with 7 or else 8 defenders. And out of these defenders, which one will you go with?
Out of the 13, I think Vuni Bright would stay for me. And then I would bring in Mungufeni Jonathan. This is Vela, by the way, a former captain of Leo, who now plays in the wings at Undupuraka Football Club. I would leave Okocha, Rashid, Chiza Mustafa. I don't know if he is active, but putting there his name, by the way, also brings in some little bit of fear factor in the opponents. I would leave in Chiza Mustafa, and then Olega Caesar is good, yes, no doubt. But ever since Toha Rashid crossed, he's good, yes, but ever since he crossed the other side, we've not heard so much about him.
It's true.
And his team is literally also not performing so well. If you look through, maybe he could be put there basically for the name as well, for the fact that he plays across the borders of Uganda, basically.
Yes.
And then yeah. Basically, I think I would stop at that.
Yeah, you look at these defenders, in fact, the players at large, some of the leagues are still going on. It may be something very difficult for these players to leave their clubs and come for this drum. And at the same time, I also have to go with your eye. They are not going for Okota Rashid because he had actually been submitted as one of the players to play the international friendly against Kuwaiti, and this game is actually on Friday, and he has traveled with the rest of the squad members. I think automatically he may not feature in the game against the Lango province. Let me say the first league may be the reverse fixer. If maybe they consider him as one of the players to appear in the 23-man squad, maybe he will have to wait for the final league or else the return league of the semi-final. Now shifting our focus to the midfielders, we have got Yakin Rashid, who is playing for Nduparaka. We have got Andama Jr., there is Oromb Ronald, Gama William, Ethurude Abel, we have got Faisal Ibrahim, Loki Emmanuel, they have also named Onjima Peter, Bida Ezra, there is Abdullah Rashid, and lastly Jericho James. And you look at the midfielders, 70% of the midfielders, they're actually playing for the home-based club called the Onduparaka Football Club. I don't know if you are to be given that opportunity to select the final midfielders. I don't know the players you will be going with.
I would go in for Yakin Rashid, Andama Jr., Gama William. I would go in for Onzima Peter. I think Onzima Peter made in appearances in the game that KCA played against Ruahil, I remember.
Yes.
And he came in as a substitute but performed very well. He actually, I think, assisted the second goal and came through to score in the third goal. And if you look at from that very time, I think it's when Onzima Peter made in a name and made in an appearances, because initially I think he has never featured in any squad of West Nile province that has been summoned anywhere somehow. So basically I would go in for Onzima Peter. I would go in for Eturude Abel, who plays for Maroons. Eturude Abel, I think nationally he started making, they started playing home here. Those days when Idiofe Hills made a name, they played with the likes of, by the way, Samson Sizo Kuti. By then they used to play at Idiofe Hills before Idiofe Hills almost sold out all their players to Bunamwaya, which is now Vipers. And basically I would go in for Eturude Abel, I would go in for Bida Ezra. But then Jericho and Bida would come in as substitutes. I wouldn't use them as starters and all that, basically.
Now you take a look at the forwards. All these players right now, they are performing very well. I am talking about the striking department. They are prolific, scoring goals for fun. Let me take the case of Muhammad Saban, one of the top scorers after the first phase of the season in Star Times Uganda Premier League. Muhammad Saban is one of the strikers being submitted. You talk about Fahad Bayo, who is playing in Scottish Premiership. There is Leku Alfred, who is one of the integral figures for Western Nile Province, not forgetting about Rothomio Abankrowell, who is also performing very well for NEC FC. Lastly, we have got Ibrahim Dada. Susie, I think it's going to be very hard for the Tekken team.
I expected to see Amaku here. I don't know, maybe because he's out injured. The last game they played, he got a terrible injury. But then I still expected to see his name here. But I think he has been ruled out basically because of the injuries. But playing in Shaban Muhammad, playing in Bayo Fahad, these two, trust me, would instill fear factor into the Rizalango province, just using in the names. But leaving that aside, I think Muhammad Shaban is performing. We've seen him scoring goals, and yet most of the times KCA is benching him. I don't know why. He is, I think, second in the list of the top scorers. He now has 8 goals to his names in, I think, not even more than 5 or 6 appearances. Most of the times, he's either brought in as a substitute or he's benched and all that. So, trust me, I have a belief that if Muhammad Shaban made in all the appearances in all the games, by now he would be the top scorer. And no doubt, I think that's why he has appeared in the first Muhammad Shaban there is the list of Samson Sizo Okuti, because he is the second top scorer. I don't know what it will be like at the end of the season. And then about Fahad, yes. Leku Alfred, I've not heard so much about him from the last time he crossed away to a Zambian league and then came back and all that and all that. And then Cromwell Rothumio, he is good, no doubt. And then Dada Ibrahim. I think this basically the squad, I think, has been done on merits, simply because the performances of every other name that has appeared here is very evident. Like you had said, most of the names play in the home league. Yeah, Susie, you have reminded me of one vital thing. I think it's the right time for us to clear the table for the fans. So many fans, they actually confused where this man like Alfred is playing. After going to Zesco, most of the people, most of the fans of Leku believe that Leku is still playing that side of Zambia for Zesco. He left Zesco. He played for URA. I remember the second part. He didn't even finish a full season. In Zesco. It was the second part of last season, and he had to also leave URA. Right now he's playing in Rwandan Premier League. That is what we can tell you. Latest update about Leku Alfred. Susie, if you were to ask me, you look at the strikers that have been submitted. Me, I am looking at the point of versatility. Some of these strikers, they are versatile. You talk about Muhammad Saban, he's versatile. You draft him as a winger, he will perform for you. You look at Leku Alfred, if you also draft him as a winger, he will still perform for you. Me, I am with a suggestion that maybe I drop some of the midfielders, wingers. I rather bring in some of the strikers. Maybe when it will come to the game part of it, maybe I draft, if not Muhammad Saban, maybe like Alfred is one of the wingers, and then the rest of the strikers maybe will have to play that real department of striking force. Let's now talk about the 22-man squad that has been revealed by the head coach of Uganda Cranes. You take a look at these players. We have got Sebaluno Hannington, a goalkeeper for Maroons. There is Ichara Tom, who is playing for Bull FC. We have got Mugeri Kizito Gavin, who is playing for Sports Club Villa. There is Sema Kula Kenneth, who is again playing for Sports Club Villa. They have also gone for Mwere Nicholas, who is playing for Bull FC. And there is one player called Murki Hudu, who is playing for URA. There is Baiga Patrick playing for Maroons. Mulondo Livingstone, who is playing for Vipers. There is also Thorat Rogers playing for Vipers. Again, Okota Rasil, who is playing for NEC FC. There is Sekjadi Ronald, who is playing for Sports Club Villa. Another player is Kawaya Ramsey, a midfielder for Express. There is Asraf Mugume playing for KCA. There is Laban Tibita playing for URA. We have got who is playing for Vipers, Oil of Ireland, who is playing for Malaba Youth Development Association called Maida FC, and there is a player
player called Osama Arafat Chiza, who's playing for Sport, who's playing for KCA, or maybe Densi, the striker for Titara. There is Kakande Patrick Joan, who is playing for Sportscar Villa, and we have got Muhammad Saban Jagason, who is playing for Kesasiro Boys KCA, Titata Alex playing for Bull, and last thing we have got my player called Nelson Sekatuka, who is playing for Soltino Price Stars. So the most interesting story here is for the West Nilers, where we have seen one player called Okocha Arasidi, who has not been there before, this time appearing in the final squad of Uganda Cranes. What does that one speak about him?
Basically, Okocha Rashid making an appearance for the national team is very interesting, and I think it's a very good one. But then if you look at why he actually didn't make in a name while he was performing wonders under Duparaka, is one thing that should also bring in an alarm.
Yes.
Because basically Okocha has just crossed into Avery's neck, which now is in the central part of Uganda. What does this bring? What does this bring in your head? Because one, he was summoned even before the half season has closed.
True.
What has he done there? To me, absolutely nothing. Yes, he has scored goals, he has made assists, he has played, he has outplayed and all that, he has done his best, but he has not done half of what he did at Onduparaka. He stayed in Onduparaka for quite very many seasons, performing, doing his best, and some of these games were even live on TV. He did not get a call. He just crossed over to Central, has not played in half a season. Now his name appears in the national team. What could be the problem? What is happening?
So you see, there are some things these people always look at. You might be a player, you might be having that a brilliant individual performance. At the end, they also look at the position of your club. Yeah, everyone understands that this player has been one of the key figures for Onduparaka Football Club. For the case of last season, much as the club was not performing very well, this player kept playing very well for the club. But where I was on Onduparaka, sometimes they look at your individual performance at the club. After that, they look at the position of your club. You look at Okocha Rashid right now. He's playing for NEC. How are they performing? One of the newly promoted side.
How about the seasons that Onduparaka was not the relegation? How about the seasons that Onduparaka was performing? Simply because there are positions that Onduparaka has held that are better positions compared to even where NEC is sitting right now. And these positions, Onduparaka was holding them right when Okocha was still in the squad. What happened? Why did he not appear for the national call? Since you're taking sides with
to cut it short, let me say, by then, there were still good left backs that were rated ahead of Okocha. Maybe right now, there is scarcity.
There are no left backs that are rated ahead of him.
There is scarcity, and at the same time, Susie,
so I want you to tell me the names that you feel Okocha is now replacing, because you said there should be a scarcity. Those days you didn't make a name because they were better people
and the second thing is, you look at most of these players that have been submitted. Most of these players are local-based players. Just because, you know, Uganda is preparing for the CHAN tournament, which is coming next. That's why you look at these players. These are mostly national-based players that are playing within the country. Maybe if this one was to be for a preparation ahead of maybe a continental tournament, maybe international tournament, trust me, Okocha was not going to make the final squad in that left-back department, because outside the world, we are having so many left-backs of Uganda Cranes that are performing very well. That's why you look at the squad right now. They are just within UPL-based sides. Maybe that is the reason as to why he has appeared. It's not only him. We have seen some players playing within the nation that have also appeared. To me, I sensed it that the team is preparing for the CHAN tournament, which is coming next. And you look at CHAN tournament, it's mostly for players that are locally based. In simple time, I should say players that are playing within the leagues we have in every country. That might be the reason as to why you look at the final 22 squad, mostly UPL-based sides, and Okocha, given the fact that he has been performing extremely well, I never expected him to have missed.
Okocha simply now appears, Benson, let us accept the fact that there are certain regions that are always being sidelined. We all know that, but yeah, this is football. This is Uganda. Our coach, I think, is now making appearances simply because he has crossed to the Central, and simply because a few months ago, before he actually appeared in that's why I said the names that always appear, some names don't come on merit. You find that every year, now and then, before even a squad comes up, you're able to know the people that are going to appear. And it happens to be exactly how you have guessed. So I think why Okocha appeared in there is simply because a few months ago, Magogo made in something about him, and it moved rounds, it trended, it went viral and all that. And then there was one time they played, I think, at, was it at Bugulobi or at Philip, at MTN Omondi, and Magogo equally made an appearance, and he said he had gone in there for culture, and I think equally also took a pick, and then yeah, that is that, Ugandan football and politics.
Yeah, these players that have been submitted, to me, they have been performing extremely very well, more especially in the first round of the season. Okocha Rashid, no doubt, and he has also appeared in the first 11 of the first phase of the season. You talk about players like Laban Tibita. The squad is really full of merit. Let's leave that one there, and we talk about the ongoing African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. Traditional African giants, they continue to drop points. The case of yesternight also happened between Desert Foxes and Angola, as we saw them playing 1-1 tie with all the quality players Algeria is possessing right now. Still, they could not go past Angola. It ended in a 1-1 tie. What could be the problem? So do we say that in Africa, every country, every club should be rated the same? But still, I will say no.
This AFCON this time around is, by the way, getting into surprise a lot of people. The countries that we rated above the other are coming up to surprise us. That's why I think before the kickoff of AFCON, you asked me about how countries are going to perform in the group stages and all that, because I remember we did a one-by-one analysis of the countries pitted in every other group and all that. And I remember I clearly also said I don't want to do the analysis of these people because we were bound to receive a lot of surprises, which actually is coming through. You might rate in a country better than the other, and then at the end of the day, when they go into play, all your interest, all your focus and every other thing is on the other country, and then it turns around that you get a shocker. You are surprised.
It's true.
We have been getting shocks. We have been getting surprises from day one. Who said the hosts will beat would beat the opponents 2-0? I expected a draw. And then who said Egypt would score in a first goal in the second minute and then be held to a 2-2? I mean, a lot of surprises. So basically, this time around, the countries that we all know have been legends in this. Egypt has been an 8-time all winner for AFCON trophies and all that. Cameroon. And these are countries that we initially have been counting on. But look at what they're playing. It turns around to surprise and all that. I think this narrows down to basically the players. Like the other time we discussed that Barcelona, the Real Madrid, the rest of the clubs, all the rest of the teams that we used to know about are not performing simply because maybe the key players, the legends that they had by then who have retired now, did not groom people to step into their shoes so that the people come in and also lift in their clubs. This is basically, to me, based on what other countries are suffering from, the legendary countries are suffering from, because the key players that they had, if at all there are still some that are featuring, the likes of Mo Salah's, I think their legs are getting tired and all that. That's why basically they are failing to help in their countries to push further. We're seeing them being tied to a drain, all that. So the whole AFCON, to me, I think we should just sit down and wait for more surprises coming through.
You see, it's true, Susie. It was a very clear observation from you. You look at how the disappointments are coming. It's coming from all the angles. Most of the traditional African giants, Algeria drawing, Cameroon drawing, Nigeria drawing, Egypt drawing, so Ghana being beaten. And we mentioned countries like Mauritania, Gambia, as of this world, Guinea-Bissau. You know, one thing I've been observing about about continental tournaments, you talk about maybe Asian Cup, you talk about this tournament in South America, Copa America, even World Cup itself. You know, these players, they are spotted from different parts of the world. Mostly they pick best performing players. That's why you look at most of these countries currently participating in African Cup of Nations. Most of their players, they have been selected on merit from the different parts of the world, different leagues we have in the world. And this one takes us to look at the games that have already so far played in African Cup of Nations. Algeria yesterday drew 1-1 with Angola, and Cameroon also played 1-1 with Guinea, and Guinea, by the way, had a red card. Still, Vincent Abakar could not score. Senegal, we are the only side that won against Gambia. Gambia had a red card, and Senegal managed to score 3 past them. And we had a game between Cape Verde and Ghana. That one was played on Monday, where it was played on Sunday. Cape Verde stand in Ghana by 2-1, and we saw 1-1 tie between Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea. And lastly, the open day was a game between Ivory Coast and Guinea-Bissau. Still, we'll be having games to be played today and tomorrow. Burkina Faso today will welcome Mauritania. Tunisia takes on Namibia. And then Mali welcomes South Africa. Come tomorrow, 2 games on the card. Morocco takes on Tanzania. We have got DRC up against Zambia. Susie, before we go for first half break, update about the 4th Division League games that started yesterday. I was able to capture some of the results. Colo-Colo, the team that performed very well at the start of last season, managed to beat Abizade, one of the newly promoted sides, by 3-0, and we saw 1-1 draw between Tanganyika and the team of Ombati Massacre, and the 2 sides are all newly promoted sides.
Those are some of the results that came through yesterday, and I will compile more of the results and possibly bring them in tomorrow's consequent show. Match day 2, this time around the teams are going marathon, by the way. They are bound to be fatigued and all that, and I think fatigue is going to affect most of the results that will come through coming from match day 3, 4, 5, because the match days, you find match day 1 was yesterday, match day 2 is today, and the same teams that played yesterday are the same teams that are bound to play today. Match day 2, we'll see Colo-Colo playing Anyafio, and this is going to be at Boulder View. And then Tanganyika FC is going to play Arua Airfield. It's going to be at Barifa. And then Abizadi will play Ombachi at Abifam. And then Idiofe plays Nyaye at Idiofe Boys. Niva plays Mvara Boys at Salim Saleh. And then I will see Tiger Stars are playing Muni at Barifa. Then Daystar will play Vale Villa at Alua Primary School. And then Ragem will play Leo at Ragame Primary School. All games 4 p.m. today.
I'm looking forward towards the game between Abizade and Ombati Massacre, because it's a derby.
That is going to be a derby, yeah.
Derby. Okay, let's go for a break and we'll be back shortly.